Welcome to Growing Tall Poppies, Thrive After Trauma. I'm your host, Dr. Nat Green, and I am so excited to have you join me as we discuss what it means to navigate your way through trauma or significant challenges and not just survive, but to thrive after it. This is a space for people who've been through trauma or adversity, have done some healing, and know they're meant for more than just coping. This podcast is about post-traumatic growth, not getting back to who you used to be. Rather, understanding who you are now and learning how to stand tall without shrinking, forcing, or abandoning yourself. Here, we explore identity after adversity, integrity and visibility wounds, nervous system wisdom, and what it really takes to move forward in a way that feels aligned, embodied, and true. You will hear a blend of deep solo conversations and powerful guest interviews with people who have lived this work, not just studied it. Because growth doesn't come from pushing harder, it comes from understanding how you adapted, honouring your nervous system, and gently updating the old agreements that no longer fit the life you're ready to live. If you're ready to stop hiding, stop performing, and start owning who you are becoming, then you are in the right place. Let's grow tall together. Hello, and welcome back to the Growing Tall Poppies podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nat Green, and today we're beginning a new short series about something that I see again and again in the women that I work with. It's something that doesn't usually look like trauma. It doesn't look like crisis. In fact, from the outside, these women often look incredibly capable, just like you. Strong, reliable, the kind of person that everyone else depends on. They've done the therapy, they've read the books, they understand their patterns. And yet there's still this quiet sense that something inside doesn't quite line up. One part of you wants to move forward, while another part quietly pulls the brakes. You know that feeling? And underneath all that capability, there can be something much quieter happening. A subtle internal tension. And often it sits around a very familiar identity. One that I'm sure you know really, really well. The identity of being the strong one. You know it well, right? One of the things I listen for very carefully when I'm working with clients is the language you use to describe your experiences. Because the words that people choose often tell us exactly what's happening internally. Women will say things like, I feel like I'm always the strong one. Or, everyone depends on me. Or sometimes something even simpler than that. I'm just tired of holding everything together all of the time. Now, when people say that, they're usually not describing dramatic burnout. It's quieter than that. It's more like a constant background effort, a sense that you're always holding something up. And every now and then, someone says something that captures the experience perfectly. Recently, I had a client say to me, Nat, I feel fractured. And that word, fractured, stopped me because it nailed it. Because what she was describing was the feeling that different parts of her didn't quite line up. And that was causing her to feel blocked. One part of her wanted to expand, and another part felt responsible for keeping everything safe and under control. And that's what I call an identity fracture. Now, I know we've talked about identity fractures before on this podcast, back in episode 89. But today I want to explore it through the lens of this identity of being the strong one. Because I know that that's what resonates with so many of you who are listening into the podcast. An identity fracture forms when at some point in your life, being fully yourself simply didn't feel safe. So your system adapted. Maybe you learned early that expressing emotion made things harder for the people around you. Maybe you realised that staying calm helped keep the peace. Maybe you discovered that being capable and responsible made life more stable. So a part of you stepped forward. The strong one, the capable one, the reliable one, the one who could handle anything. And that identity often becomes extremely effective. It helps you succeed. It helps you navigate really complex situations. It helps you manage life. And it does it really well. But underneath that identity, other parts of you can slowly become quieter. The part that wants support. The part that wants and needs to rest. The part that wants to be held instead of holding everything together. And when those parts don't feel safe to exist, that's where our fractures begin. So for many people, the identity of being the strong one develops really gradually. For example, you might have been the child who didn't want to make things harder for others, the one who stayed calm, the one who took responsibility. And over time, your nervous system learns something really important. Being capable keeps things safe. Being reliable keeps things stable. And eventually, that identity becomes how people know you. The calm one, the dependable one, the one who can handle anything. You know it well, right? For a long time, that identity genuinely feels like a strength. It's something other people admire, and let's face it, it often brings success. But over time, it can also create this subtle pressure. Because once your nervous system has organised around being the strong one, then it can start to feel like you always have to be that person, even when you're exhausted, even when you're the one that really needs support, and even when a quieter part of you is asking for space. And the tricky part about this pattern is that it doesn't usually break your life. In fact, many people with this identity do extremely well. They succeed, they lead. In fact, they achieve incredible things. But there can still be this quiet cost. A cost in energy, a cost in emotional connection, a cost in how much space that you allow yourself to take up in the world. And sometimes that cost shows up as exhaustion that doesn't fully go away with rest. Sometimes it shows up as difficulty receiving support. Sometimes it shows up as a feeling that you're always a little bit on and you never get any downtime. Like you can't completely relax into being held by life. And eventually people begin asking deeper questions. When do I get to stop being the strong one? And I know a lot of the people that I talk to and work with don't often voice that out loud. It's this silent, often underlying little resentment. What would it feel like to not hold everything all of the time? And those questions are incredibly important because they often signal that something deeper within you is ready to shift. And this is where something else often begins to appear. Something that I call the invisible ceiling. Because when our identity fractures remain in the background for long enough, they begin shaping how far our nervous system believes it's safe to go. So you might notice this right at the edge of expansion. Maybe you're about to raise your prices, step into greater visibility, speak up in a bigger way, or even to allow yourself to rest. And suddenly, something inside you hesitates. You overthink, you delay, you tighten, and from the outside, it might look like procrastination. But inside, your nervous system may simply be asking one question. Is this safe? If part of your identity has been built around holding everything together, expansion can start to feel really, really risky for you. Because expansion might mean being seen, being supported, and letting go of control. And ultimately, that can feel really unfamiliar to a nervous system that has spent years being the strong one. So I want to leave you with a gentle question. Just notice what happens in your body today as you hear this. In your life right now, where are you being the strong one? Where are you the one who holds everything together? And where are you carrying more responsibility than you actually need to? And what might it feel like if you didn't have to carry all of that alone? Not forever, just sometimes. Just enough to let your nervous system breathe. Sometimes simply noticing that possibility is the first step towards something truly shifting for you. And in the next episode of this short mini-series, we're going to talk about something that many high-functioning, high-achieving people experience but also rarely talk about. The exhaustion that comes from always being the strong one. Not traumatic burnout, but a quieter kind of fatigue. The fatigue that comes from constantly holding yourself together. And once we begin to see these patterns clearly, we can truly start to understand how identity fractures shape our lives and how the invisible ceilings that they create can finally begin to dissolve. So if today's conversation has resonated with you, if you recognise yourself in the identity of being the strong one, I just want to say this. Your strength is real and Most importantly, it's valuable. But strength was never meant to mean carrying everything alone. Sometimes the next phase of our growth isn't about becoming stronger. It's more so about allowing yourself to be supported in ways that once didn't feel possible. And that's often where the most powerful breakthroughs begin. Thanks for listening. Keep standing tall like the tall poppy that you were always destined to be. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you for spending this time with me on Growing Tall Poppies. My hope is that today's episode has offered you something more than insight, that it's helped you feel a little more connected to who you are now, a little more trusting of your body, and a little more permission to stand tall without shrinking or forcing yourself forward. Post-traumatic growth isn't about fixing yourself or returning to who you once were. It's about understanding how you adapted, honouring your nervous system, and gently choosing what no longer needs to come with you. New episodes of Growing Tall Poppies are released weekly, every Tuesday, and I'd love for you to continue walking this path with us as we explore identity after adversity, integrity and visibility wounds, nervous system wisdom, and what it truly means to grow forward, grounded, aligned, and embodied. If this episode resonated, I invite you to subscribe, follow, share it with someone that you feel might need it, or simply take a quiet moment to reflect on what's ready to move forward for you. You can also find me on Instagram at Dr. Nat Green, on Facebook at Dr. Natalie Green, or over on YouTube at Dr. Nat Green. And remember, you don't need to rush, and you don't need to hide anymore. Stay connected, stay true, and keep standing tall like the tall poppy you are. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.